Good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. Of course, I'm with Originator Success. Here is your daily mortgage rate update, the only place on the web where you can join me live each and every day to talk about what's going on with mortgage rates and pricing. Remember that I do this, like I said, every weekday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Go ahead and join me. If you're here this morning, like Mallory Fotiadas and Mike Tebow, say good morning. Ron Siegel says it's a great day to be a foodie, celebrating National Banana Day, National Cheese Ball Day, and National Crawfish Day. So the question of the day, what are you eating? Bananas, cheese balls, or crawfish? Yeah, I'm going with bananas. However, I do like a good cheese ball. Crawfish, totally skip. Do not want crawfish. What the heck? Too much work. I don't like shellfish anyway that much. Not my thing. Not at all. So let me know what you guys think. Anyone like crawfish? Anyone a big crawfish fan? Not me. Ugh. Anyway, if you're watching on the replay, don't forget to give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you're here. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and smash that like button. Tag an LO friend. Share us in a group. If you're on YouTube, click that thumbs up thing. Seriously, it doesn't take much. Just click the damn thumbs up button. Click subscribe. Click the notification thing. We got to grow this thing on YouTube. Anyway, if you guys are interested, you can sign up for my daily rate lock advice email that goes out each and every weekday morning, www.ratelockadvice.com. Already sent out this morning's. You can also sign up for our text alerts. They're $7 a month, www.ratetextalerts.com. We warn you about what's going on with the markets and all that good stuff. You can also find out how we help you get loans on Google and social media, and sign up for a demo with my man, Austin. He'll show you how we can start getting you some business. You need to get your stuff together, be out there, be strong. So check us out at originatorssuccess.com. Other than that, what else we got going on this morning? Let's say hi to all the live folks that are here. Like my man, Ron Siegel said, bananas and cheese balls. Good morning, Kim Mason, Mike Morano. Great to see y'all as well. Who else is here this morning? Say hello. While you guys are saying hi, let's jump in and talk about all what's going on this morning. So we'll start off with morning rate sheet should be better than yesterday, quite a bit so. We've recovered 26 basis points on the day. That basically recovers a lot of what was lost yesterday. If you look at the 5-day chart here, let me see if I can zoom in on this. No, we got to refresh it. Hold on. Let me make it large and we'll refresh it. And anyway, mortgage-backed securities have 25 basis points to start the day. It means rate sheets are going to be slightly better. I mean, you could argue maybe even as much as 1/8 of a point in rate on some rate sheets. Most rate sheets aren't moving that much, though. Overall, you could see here, let me plop up. Let me put the technical thing on here so it gets my head out. All right, here you go. So taking a look here, it kind of brings us back where we were before yesterday. It kind of makes yesterday a do-over. So on Monday, the 15th, we were right around 99.30, 38. That's what we're right around now. Kind of washes out yesterday's negatives. That means you should basically... We were around 7.44, then went up to 7.5. It should be going back down to 7.44. Like I said, arguably, you could see an 1/8 in rate, but most likely not. It's just a little bit improvement in pricing. One thing to be paying attention to as we watch this happen is that basically when we look at this, this is kind of the new normal, if you will, for rates. This is where we're at, right? So the 10-year treasury yield back up at 4.67 as well. I'm sorry, 4.62. 4.617. I saw that. 4.62. It was up to 4.69 yesterday, which was ugly. So it did come down a little bit. We're seeing a little bit, but we're going to see very similar to what we saw here. It went up, came down, it goes up, comes down. We should see it kind of level off. Let me make this side by side. Basically, here's the deal. Right now, when we look at the FedWatch tool, we can see, if I pull this over here, there we go. All right. Right now, if we look at this Happy FedWatch tool, let me zoom in on this a little bit so you can, well, that doesn't really do crap, does it? You know what? Let me just make this full screen so you guys can see it a little clearer and get my noggin out of the way here. Hold on a minute. All right, take a look here, right? So looking at December, this is the Fed futures. What are the expectations for where we're going to see things at the end of the day? Right now, a month ago, markets felt there was almost zero chance that we would see the Fed funds rate the same as where it's at today, that it would end the year the same way. There was almost zero chance, right? Then a week ago, that went up to about a 13%, and it's been the same for about a week. So a month ago, zero, starting a week ago, about a 13% chance. that we would see one rate cut a month ago, it was 9% expectation that we would only see one rate cut. 9%. About a week ago, that went up to 35%, and it's been that way all week. 25% felt we would see at least two rate cuts, and that went up to about 33%, and it's been that way for a week. Here's the big difference. A month ago, 35% thought we would see more than two rate cuts, at least three rate cuts. The last week, that's dropped down to about 15%. Big, it's less than half. Then a month ago, markets were pricing in that we would see more than three rate cuts, maybe even that fourth rate cut. Now that's been priced down to being almost non-existent. Again, we haven't really seen anything change in a week. Now, just to reiterate, what does that actually mean? A week ago, we got the inflation numbers. The inflation came in slightly worse than what was expected, and very much in line with where it's been, but it's showing that inflation, the fight against inflation has stalled. Okay. Markets had a very extreme reaction to the news. We saw the expectation of a June rate hike totally disappear, a July rate hike basically fall off the table, and now markets are pricing in that most likely the soonest time we would see another, cut. I say hike because I have hike on the brain. Rate cut. Markets are pricing in the idea that the soonest we would see a rate cut at this point would be in September, right? So that's basically 46% believe we see one cut. 20% believe we'll have seen two cuts by then. They think that we'll still see a cut in July. There's about a 40% expectation that we'll have to see at least a cut by July. By the end of the year, market's pricing in two, maybe one rate cut. That's the majority, right? What we're seeing here. So yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, he made some comments. I forgot where he was speaking, but he made some comments, and it was probably the last time that he'll talk before. Where's my damn Powell article? Oh, here it is. This is the last time that he'll talk before the Fed meeting because they're going to go on blackout on Saturday. So they're going to spend about 10 days before the Fed meeting, which is going to conclude on May 1st. They're basically going to stop talking, right? So Fed Chair Powell signals rate cut delay after run of inflation surprises. And you could actually listen to what he says here because it sums it up perfectly. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell signaled policymakers will wait longer than previously anticipated to cut interest rates following a series of surprisingly high inflation readings. I don't know about how surprisingly high they were. Again, seems like there's an overreaction to this. The Fed, when you looked at the dot plot and you looked at what the Fed expectations were, they weren't expecting inflation to go all the way down to 2% until 2026. So I don't know why this is like, we're at like 3 point something. It's like, I don't know why this is like such a huge deal. Powell pointed to the lack of additional progress made on inflation after the rapid decline seen at the end of last year, noting it will likely take more time for officials to gain the necessary confidence that price growth is headed towards the Fed's 2% goal before lower borrowing costs. So the Fed's not going to have to cut rates because the labor market still doing well. Again, we could pick it apart. We could talk about the subsets. We could talk about part-time jobs. But on paper, in the reports, the labor market is doing fine. Unemployment would need to break 4.1, 4.2 for the Fed to start to worry about it. And really, I don't even want to say panic, but for them to really worry about it. You're talking about unemployment, not even number of new jobs created, right? But we're talking about unemployment, but unemployment 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, not anywhere there. It's still not really a concern. The other thing is other data like retail sales data that came in, durable goods orders, GDP data, all of that showing to a rebound, a strong, resilient economy. We're supposed to be knee deep in that recession by now, and it never came. The recession never happened. It's like a huge thundercloud rolling in, but it never rained. And this really sums up what the Fed is dealing with. The recent data have clearly not given us greater confidence and instead indicate it's likely to take longer than expected to achieve that confidence. Powell said Tuesday in a panel discussion alongside Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem at the Wilson Center in Washington. Given the strength of the labor market and the progress on inflation so far, or lack of progress, it is appropriate to allow restrictive policy, meaning they're going to leave rates where they're at, further time to work and let data and the evolving outlook guide us. That's the bottom line. So they basically, this was the nail in the coffin yesterday that reinforced the idea that the Fed doesn't need to worry about cutting rates. They're not going to do it in June. They're likely not going to do it in July. They're certainly not going to do it in May. And we may start to see it in September. We would have to see quite a bit of data change between now and June before that July date really becomes something legitimate. We'd have to see unemployment increase. We'd have to see more weak economic data. We'd have to see inflation improve. None of those things are necessarily on the horizon. This was a huge shift after that CPI data. And when we look at the charts here, let's go ahead and get rid of that. When we look at the charts, here was your big drop on CPI, and you can see that we've gone really straight down since then. Now, I'm going to get my head out of the way. I want to show this to y'all full screen. The one thing to be very aware of here is that, let me make this a little smaller so it fits on the screen. And let's make 6 months is good. So there you go. Okay, now you can see the whole thing, right? This is October. Look at where we were at in October. 94, 95. It was way low here, right? 97 was where it would push up to. But whereas right now we're at 99, you're talking 200 basis points to 300 basis points lower, but at least 200 basis points lower than where we're at now. This will only happen if we see an increase in talk of rate hikes. So right now, rate cuts still on the table. If we see strong unemployment, or if we see strong labor and economic data, we see inflation moving in the wrong direction. If that happens again in May for April's data, well, then you're going to start hearing talks of rate hikes, and that would push rates higher. We're at least a month out on that based on what I just said. We need to see that labor data, which is 3 weeks from now. We need to see another inflation report. So, it's April, middle of April. So we would be about 3 to 4 weeks away from seeing rates move higher. What's likely to happen with rates? They're likely to stay very much in this, range that we're at now. I'm kind of curious, by the way, so Mortgage News Daily, their rates right now show at like, say, 7.5. What does that equate to on your rate sheet? When yesterday was quoting at 7.5, what's the real world rate on that? What are most of you quoting? Are you quoting 7.5? I doubt it, right? There's no loan level price adjustments or anything on this. I think that 7.5 is probably 7 7/8, 7 3/4, possibly into the 8s. What rates are you guys really quoting on them? Mike said 6.8 to 6.99. Is that with points, Mike, or are you actually down there that low? Ron said I'm low 8s. Yeah. So, and we're talking not for Govey, Mike. We're talking straight up. Michael Love said 7 to 5/8. So he's right there, right around that, quoting that. Are we talking like 5% down, decent credit, 720, 740-ish? I'm curious because, again, you guys have access to rates. I don't quote rates, so I don't know. Sophia is right at that 7.5. Barlow, purchase 20% down, 800 FICO. Is that most of your people, though? Jason Barlow, are you getting people that fit that criteria? So Ben Yo 7.5. Cool. So yeah, I mean, and that's basically, I think we'll see rates kind of creep back down to the 7 and 3/8. We're not going to see them move that low, though. They're not going to, unless there was a reversal in sentiment where we think that the Fed is going to cut. And that's just not, there's nothing that's going to open that up. We should get something at the PCE data next Friday, but that's over a week away, and it could be And Sam said anything 5% down is a cost on conventional. Yeah, I would think. Mike said points. I hate EPOs, conventional correspondent. Yeah. Crystal, thankfully, I'm pretty much all VA still in the 6s. Yeah, VA is definitely priced a lot better. Ron said, take a look at WARN notices and declining CAPU. Headlines don't match what is happening in the market. Ron, again, but yet I get on an airplane and it's full. I go to the airport and it's full. I go to the restaurant and it's full. I go to the car dealership, people are buying cars. I go, somebody's spending money. I don't think it's money that they have, but people are spending money. And I think we can go through all kinds of reports and find signs of everything. But I think overall, the same people were struggling before COVID are struggling after COVID. The same people that were, pushing along are pushing along. People are buying. they're buying a few less iPhones, but they're still buying iPhones. So I don't know how much better that's going to be. But anyway, don't expect to see rates get tremendously better. As far as locking and floating, cautiously float. I would consider locking anything closing the next couple of weeks sometime today. We've got a day with a little bit better pricing. I don't think this is signs of a reversal. I don't think we're going to see it get better we could see it get better into tomorrow. There's no economic data today. We do have a couple of Fed speakers. We got Loretta Mester and the Bowman woman. They're both very hawkish. They're maybe not normally, but they're going to say the same thing that Powell said. They're going to say that they don't see the data and that they're waiting for signs, and they're going to reinforce the same message. I don't think it's going to shake anything up. Markets are pretty set. That's why I was showing you guys that CME FedWatch tool. Markets have been set for about a week now. When we look at this, they've been set for about a week where it's been consistent. And we have not seen much of a change in a week in any of this. Any of these that we choose, it's been about the same. Markets have priced it in, and that's where they're staying. So the good news is that should protect us from seeing rates move significantly higher from last October's rates. But it also means you're not going to see any tremendous improvement either, because they're not going to go that much lower. Michelle Bowman. Thanks, Siegel. I know I'm such a goof. I don't remember any of that stuff. So Ron, be careful in the airplane. No exit rows. Yeah, don't worry. I fly first class, my man. I know, boo hiss. I'm bougie. Anyway, that's it for me, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see what's going on then. Should be another similar day. I think we're gonna close. Reprice risk is moderate though. Be careful. We could see it kind of disappear, but I think we'll be all right. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.